Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Having It All podcast. I am your host, Matthew Bivens, and I'm pumped that you're here with me today to talk about having it all. That's what we do. We talk about having it all here and what it looks like and what it feels like when we truly know in our bones that we have it all. Because you do. And on this show, we look at having it all as living an abundant, loving life. A-L-L, abundant, loving life. So I'm happy that you're here to join me in this conversation. Today, we are continuing our series on purpose and fulfillment. Yes, last week we kicked off the entire series with a really cool throwback episode looking at the difference between purpose, passion, and vision and how they all intersect and intertwine. And today is a whole new conversation because I'm sharing with you the one question that I asked myself about 7 years ago. I asked myself this one question, and answering this one question and leaning into this one question led me to connecting with my life's purpose. So I'm going to share with you what that question was, and I'm going to share with you how I used my answer in getting to where I am today, where I'm creating a life that is connected with my purpose. Because I did not think that was possible for me. I really did not have that in my mind, and it was very, very frustrating for me. So it's going to be really cool, and yeah, I got some other cool stuff for you that's around purpose, but I'm going to save that for just a couple more minutes. All right, let's kick things off with some magic. Remember, magic is your ability to influence yourself, others, and life in an empowering way. And you are magical. Yes, you. You are magical. You are powerful. You are creating these moments all the time. You are influencing yourself to do something empowering. You are influencing other people, and you're influencing life. Like, life magic looks like you putting it out there. Man, I would love to attract $150. And then boom, $150 shows up in a way that you weren't expecting. There are so many ways, literally like a limitless number of ways that we create magic. And so all I want to do with this segment of the show is to help you to pause and just reflect on the magic in your life. So I'll share my magic, and then if you feel inspired, pause the episode and think about your magical moment. My magic happened all of last week and culminated on Sunday when I influenced myself to raise the bar. That's what I really did. I raised the bar. I raised my standard, and I kept my word. And the way that I did that was on my balance chart. I got a 93% on my balance chart, and I posted that on my Instagram page. If you haven't seen it, you can go check it out. And you see just a picture of my balance chart with all the different habits. And hitting that 93% was big for me because I've been using this balance chart tool for 6+ years now, and it's a tool that allows me to deposit directly into my emotional bank account, building my trust in myself, building my sense of trustworthiness, building my confidence, and all the while establishing and strengthening some very healthy habits. So I've been using this balance chart for a long time, and I always had in my mind that I'm planning to get at least an 80%. I want at least an 80% completion on all my habits at the end of the week. And upon some reflection and some talking with my coach, I started to really see the impact of playing for 80%. And if I related that to grades in school, that's a B. That's a B. And when I did that and I thought, 80% is a B, I realized, man, I was a B student my whole life. And I really was comfortable getting Bs. Like, I would settle for my B. I knew I could push to an A, and there was moments when I did. There was moments when I had the highest grade on the test or the highest average in the class, and I might even finish the semester with an A. But my average was like mid to low Bs. And I just realized that I continued that pattern right into my balance chart. And I saw that in order for me to really win in life, I can't be playing at a B. I can't be playing at 80%. My coach was like, he told me truly winning and growing and evolving doesn't happen at 80s. It happens when you're getting that A level. So I decided that I was going to step my game up, and I raised my minimum standard of what I would accept for myself on my balance chart to a 90 or above. So this week I got a 93, and it just felt fantastic to keep my word, to hit that goal. And I'm just watching the ripples that are already happening from me stepping my game up in that level. And I'm very excited for the ripples that are going to continue as I maintain my weekly average of 90 plus. So influencing myself to raise the bar, to raise my minimum standard, and to follow through and actually do the work to get my 93. That is my magic. All right, so now, if you feel inspired, hit pause and reflect on magic in your life. Where have you influenced yourself, others, or life itself in a powerful way recently? Go ahead and pause now, and then we'll jump over to some listener love. I am grateful for you. I really am. Grateful that you tune in. Appreciate that you reach out. It's such an awesome thing. I love the connection. I'm a relationships guy. So I love connecting. I love getting into conversations. And this week, I just want to give a shout out to Laura from Instagram. Thank you, Laura, for first of all, tuning into the show, listening, really allowing the content and the message to sink in. And thank you for reaching out on Instagram and sharing with me how you felt and what came up for you when I talked a couple weeks ago about the recent challenge that I had been experiencing. I did an episode just talking about my recent struggle and just honestly practicing what is one of my superpowers, and that's vulnerability. And I hadn't been practicing that, so I shared. And Lauren, you connected with it, and it helped you to see some things within yourself. That's what I love. That's what it's all about. So, Lauren, thank you for the outreach and just continuing the connection, and it's awesome. So thank you, Lauren. If you would love to connect with me and reach out and give me some feedback or whatever, you want to say, hey, whatever it is, I would love that. That would be fantastic. And you can do it in a couple ways. First, you can hit me up on Instagram at Matthew_Bivens. Shoot me a DM. I'd love to get into a conversation with you. Second, you can hit me up on my email. If you prefer email, that's cool with me too. mattcbivens@gmail.com. That's my personal email address. You can hit me up there. And then third, if you want to leave some feedback for me to read through iTunes, you can leave a review there. You can go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe and then leave me a rating and review. And I like giving shout outs on those as well. So 3 ways you can interact with me, and we can continue the relationship that we're building here.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
All right, cool. Before we jump into today's episode, I've got something really awesome to share that actually goes along with the episode. So this is something that's going to complement what I'm talking about. And I am putting on a free webinar that is all about helping you find your purpose. Free webinar to help you find your purpose. It's called how to finally figure out what your purpose is so that you can quit feeling stuck and get to living life fully. Yes. This is the first time, I believe it's the first time that I've done a webinar. And a webinar is just a fancy word for a live virtual class with me. So basically, you would log in on October 2nd. It's October 2nd, 2 p.m. When you sign up, you join me on October 2nd at 2 p.m. I will be live, and I'm going to teach you how to finally figure out what your purpose is. So if you've been feeling stuck, if you've been feeling lost, if you've been feeling confused or frustrated that you don't have your purpose, you don't even like that word anymore, you're feeling maybe jealous of other people around you that you believe are connected to their purpose, and now they're going out and creating all this awesome stuff in your life, and you just feel like you're just sitting there not doing anything, then I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how to actually move closer towards your purpose, towards connecting with it, towards identifying it, towards really embodying it and living it in your life. So I'm going to teach you that in this free class with me, again, October 2nd at 2 p.m. Eastern. And it's going to be awesome. I've been doing this work for a while, did this on myself. I'm sharing with you some of the processes that I've gone through and the things that I do with my clients, and it's some rocking stuff. And it's free, right? You get to come hang out with me for an hour. So that's October 2nd, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And you can sign up at my website, MatthewBivens.com/purpose. MatthewBivens.com/purpose. Go sign up if you're interested. Okay, let's dig into today's topic, which is also about purpose. So there are many different schools of thought when it comes to how do you find your purpose? How do you actually get there? And obviously you're here because you're interested in that. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be listening to this episode. So I just want to agree right now, all of us together, that the intention is to arrive at your purpose, right? Like that's what you're trying to get at. And there's going to be many different paths to get there. Like you can go and search on Google right now or YouTube and find all these different videos, and everybody might share a different path to get there. I'm going to share with you what I did. I'm going to share with you my path that helped me arrive at my answer. It's just one path. It's just one option, but it very well might resonate with you. So I remember reading about this topic because I'll back up real quick. When I was in high school, I was stressed out almost all 4 years because I believed I needed to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, figure out why, like what I was here to do. And I had to make that decision, which looked like picking a major for college. And so I stressed out about that because I had no idea. I eventually picked a major. Actually, I enrolled in college without a major. I was undeclared. I went undeclared for 2 years at the University of Florida. After 2 years, they're like, yo, you got to pick a major. You can't just be taking Roman history classes and literature classes. You got to actually pick something. So I selected psychology. Still not sure what the heck I wanted to do. Still not sure what my purpose was. And so that was another 4 years of worrying about, what am I supposed to do with my life? What is my purpose? And that was also around the time when I started reading blog articles and watching TED Talks and stuff. That was more specifically about purpose. So now it had evolved less about career and more about purpose. Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? So all through college, stressed out. I graduated and was like, what the heck am I going to do? I don't know what I'm here to do. So I took a year off and I had a little bit of money and I got a job working at a clothing store. So I folded t-shirts and I just started studying for, I don't even remember the test, whatever test you need to get into grad school. I just figured since I don't know what my purpose is and I don't know what I want to do with my life, I'll just go to grad school. So I spent that year, like I would hang out at the pool and study for my test, and then I would go to work, and that was it. I did that for a year, and then I got into grad school and went to business school and learned some stuff. And my year and a half in business school, I stressed out some more. So you can see, this thing of like purpose was always in the back of my mind, but I just worried about it. I worried about it a lot, and it bothered me, and I really started to hate that question of like, what is my purpose? And this was around the time when blogs started to really pick up more, and you could just go and Google and search the word, what is your purpose? And I started to just start seeing all this content out there. And so it was all these signals that the world was seemingly telling me that I need to figure out my purpose, and that if I don't figure out my purpose, I'll never truly be happy. And I didn't feel happy at the time. I felt lost. I felt lonely. I felt very frustrated. I felt like I was failing. I felt like I had wasted my parents' money. I felt like I had wasted now 6 years because I didn't have a career. I had a couple of degrees, but didn't know what the heck to do with them. I didn't feel any closer to connecting with what my purpose was or even what I wanted to do, right? And so I just felt like I was failing all over the place. And those feelings just kept building up. I did a lot of comparing myself to others. I compared myself to my roommates. My roommates picked careers, architecture, nursing, optometry. And these guys were like, boom, that's what I'm going to do. And I just kind of, assumed that that's what they felt their purpose was. And here I am judging myself because I don't know what the heck I wanted to do. So years of feeling that way kind of created this thing within me that I was scared. I was scared of seeking out new information. I was scared of taking risks. And I started to not take action on things. So I wouldn't take really big risks in my life. I started to develop this idea that I needed to be more clear before I took a risk. I need to figure out my purpose before I make a big decision. And since I didn't know what my purpose was, I didn't know what I wanted to do, then I didn't take big risks. So I started to develop this habit of wanting to do things and then not pulling the trigger. And that went on for a while, right? Remember, this stuff started in high school, went into college, went into grad school. It went into the 3 years after grad school, and I did get a job, worked at a startup company. And although I was much more engaged, right? Now I was doing things that I'd never done before. I had a lot of responsibility, and I didn't have any mentorship. So I was like, I got to figure it out on my own. So I was a little bit more distracted, but still in the back of my mind, this whole thing of purpose was just looming. So that was kind of the context that brought me to the night that I asked myself the one question. One question. So I had moved to Atlanta at the time. I took up a job at a video marketing agency, and I had been at that agency for about a month. And quickly I realized this is not for me. I just wasn't a fan of the culture. I just wasn't a fit. I wasn't a fit for them. They were not a fit for me. And so I come home after sitting in Atlanta traffic because I was doing the 9 to 5, right? And if you've ever been to Atlanta, you realize the traffic is nuts out here. So I was sitting in Atlanta traffic. I get back to my apartment, and Sarah is there, and we were dating at the time. Weren't yet married. And I just come home and just felt defeated, felt tired, felt very frustrated. And so I started complaining. I had grown very accustomed to complaining at this time, right? I mean, it makes sense. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I wasn't taking risks. I was feeling feeling scared all the time and feeling like a victim. So what do you do in that case? You complain. So I was complaining to Sarah about the job, complaining about the office, complaining about the manager, complaining about this, complaining about that. And I just had this moment where I think it was an article that I was reading. Like a line from the article just popped in my head. It's like spontaneous generation. Like here I am deep in my victim. And all of a sudden this sentence, this question popped into my mind. And I sat there and I was sitting on the floor of my apartment. Sarah was sitting on the bed. And I just remembered this question. The question was, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Pretty straightforward question. What would I do if I wasn't afraid? And I made a choice. I decided to actually answer that question. Because again, I had been reading articles and watching TED Talks and just, doing the stuff just in my curiosity and kind of my research mode around stuff like purpose. So I'd come across questions like that. What would you do if you weren't afraid? How would you live your life if you had all the money and time in the world, right? But I'd never sat down and actually answered it thoroughly and then allowed that answer to sink in. I'd never done that. But in this moment, I decided to do it. And I said to myself, okay, if I wasn't afraid, I would quit my job. I wouldn't just quit my job. I would quit my job so that I could start my own marketing agency. Yeah, if I wasn't afraid, I would do this myself. I would start my own agency. I would work with the type of people I want to work with, doing the type of work that I want to do on my own schedule. I would make my own schedule. I would figure out my own stuff. That's what I would do if I wasn't afraid. And I sat there for a moment, and what hit me in like this flash was dozens of moments throughout my life, maybe even more than that, but like dozens of moments when I was sitting at that crossroads of you go down this path that's scary, but something cool might happen, or you go down this path which is safe and you know exactly what's going to happen. And I went through that in my mind in like a flash, all those moments where I was presented with that crossroad and I chose the safe route. Remember, I said that I was risk averse. I didn't take risks. I didn't take action if I couldn't see 5 steps in front of me. If I couldn't see what the end was going to be, I wouldn't take the action. Because if I couldn't see it, then that made me uncomfortable. And that fear was like, no, I'm not going to go down the scary route. I'm going to go down the route that makes me feel comfortable. So all that stuff flashed through my mind. And in that moment, I was like, fuck this. I am not choosing to be scared anymore. And I looked up at Sarah and I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to go forth and carve my own path. And I remember the heart, like the beating of my heart that was like, oh my gosh, because I knew in that moment I had decided, like it locked in my beingness and my spirit. It was like, holy shit, you're going to do this. And so I was like, oh my gosh, all right. So I got up and I drafted my letter of resignation. And the next day I handed it in. And the boss and I had a prior relationship. So it wasn't like I was putting in my 2 weeks. It was like, hey man, I'm complete here. And he and I we already had an agreement in place that was, if that was what I want to do, okay. So I was done. The next day I was complete. I didn't have like a 2-week period to figure my stuff out. It was like, no, you're done. So that question, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Answering that question and taking action on how I answered it completely has changed my life. Completely has changed my life. Because from there, first of all, moving down that path, that fear path, that path that I had never gone down before, never made those big risks. Moving down that path showed me like, oh my gosh, this isn't as scary as I thought. Like, I can handle this. Because that was the fear. Like, I won't be able to handle it. I'm going to fail. I'm going to whatever. So taking that action, taking that step, it showed me like, oh my gosh, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Okay, let me get my business cards in order. Let me put up a website. Let me go reach out to all my contacts. And like, I found myself being able to function in the discomfort, in the area of my fear. Everything didn't shut down. I didn't not know what to do. I wasn't paralyzed by the fear. I was like, okay, cool. I can actually swim in these waters. All right, fuck yeah, let's go swimming. And I just started moving forward. And so that led me to start saying yes to things. It was like, you know what? Normally I would say no to this opportunity, but I'm going to say yes. I've already said, fuck it and jumped in the deep end with quitting my job. I might as well say yes to you inviting me to coffee. So I started just to say yes to things. If somebody invited me to do something, I would go. If someone asked me for something, I would say yes to it. I just sort of opened myself up. And that led me to new experiences. They were uncomfortable, but you know what? I was okay with that. Like, I had started to become more and more okay with being uncomfortable because I'd proved to myself that I can handle it. Like, I'm all right. I can be in this discomfort. Like, I'm going to be okay. And so then I started to go back to that question that I didn't want to answer because I hated how it made me feel. Like, what is my purpose? Because now I had a new perspective. I was like, I'd taken some risks. I had said yes. I had moved into discomfort. I had, stepped forward even though I felt afraid. I started to, and in my pursuit of this new business, I started to find things that I was really interested in, that I really liked, because I said to myself, if I'm going to make a business, I may as well do something that I'm passionate about, that I really enjoy. I may as well work with people who I enjoy working with. So I was playing more in my passions. I was playing more in my lane. So then when I went back and revisited that question is, what is my purpose? I had this new perspective on it. It was a question that now I believed had an answer. Before, I just didn't believe there was an answer for me. Like there was something wrong. Like maybe I had missed the boat. Maybe I should have, I had the opportunity to find my answer and I missed it. Now I'll never get it. But now I was like, you know what? There's an answer to this question. I don't know it right now, but I feel like I can get there. It's like, I feel like I can get there. It's like, my daughter loves watching Snow White, and those 7 dwarves are in the mine and they're just mining for those gems, And it was like, you know what? There's a ruby in this wall. I can't see it, but it's in there. I'm going to start chiseling away at this thing. I'm going to find that fucking ruby, right? And that's kind of how I felt. Like my purpose is out there. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to just chisel away at it.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
So I started to enroll myself into the process of clarifying what my purpose was. And that was a powerful thing. And so I started tinkering with some ideas. Again, I had this new business, so I started tinkering with things, trying out ideas, and just following my next inspired idea. Ooh, I feel moved to do this. Let me go try it. Ooh, I feel moved to create this. Let me do that. That didn't work. Let me back up. And years, I'm fast forwarding, right? Because I quit my job, started this business, and was just in this process, this inquiry of saying, in the process of saying yes, in my new inquiry of what is my purpose, trying things out, stuff didn't work, but moving forward anyway, and just I was doing all that for a while, and then I'm blowing past a bunch of details, but that's okay. And then I decided to do something that was really out there. I decided to start a podcast. The podcast was called Having It All. And on this podcast, I didn't have there was no like goal in it. There was no end goal other than 100 episodes. That was my whole thing. I just want to do 100 episodes because I was like, I'm passionate about talking about these types of things. These things like purpose, finding meaning, experiencing more love, feeling more joy in your life, having courage, going for it, taking risks. I'm passionate about that stuff. So let me play in my passions, because maybe if I play in my passions, it's going to lead me closer to my purpose. So I did that. I started the show. And I just kept following what my friend calls following the arrows. Kept following those arrows. What are the signs? What are the things I'm being led to? I continued learning, seeking out information, asking for feedback. By this point, I was enrolled in coaching. I was enrolled in accountability groups. I was asking them for feedback. I was asking them for input. Right? I was bringing in other people to help me figure out this whole purpose thing, new perspectives. And I just kept on asking myself questions similar to what would I do if I wasn't afraid? How would I live my life if money and time and energy, just like I had an abundance of all of it? What would I do if I only had a year left to live? I would answer those questions, and I would answer them thoroughly and honestly. And then I would really feel those answers. I would let it sink in until I found it. I hit that gem. I arrived at my purpose and what I felt that my purpose is for right now. And it took a while. It took years. But the process of it, the journey of it was amazing. So many incredible things happened throughout that journey. So many incredible things were created or manifested or attracted into my life across those years, that the journey itself was the magic. Arriving at my purpose was like, it was inevitable. And so right now, for me in my life, I feel my purpose is to experience as much as I possibly can the feelings of an abundant, loving life. Because when I'm in those feelings, when I'm feeling love, when I'm feeling abundance, I am aligned with my most true and powerful self. And some really awesome shit happens when I'm connected to those feelings. I'm creative. I'm grateful. I'm courageous. I'm bold. I'm passionate. I'm curious. I explore. I feel unencumbered. I'm sensitive. And I'm just fucking powerful. So my purpose, as I understand it right now, is to experience my all, my abundant, loving life. And now, from that place of awareness and understanding, I continue to act. I keep on moving forward. I keep on chiseling at that wall. I continue to create. I continue to take risks. All the while, I'm clarifying my purpose more and more. And I'm open. I'm open to having a different version of purpose resonate stronger than the one I just shared. Why not? I'm evolving. So perhaps my sense of purpose will evolve too. I don't know. Maybe. I'm open to it. But what I'm clear on is that there's always an answer to the question, what is my purpose? There's always an answer to the question, what is your purpose? And if you're feeling lost or frustrated or just stuck on an answer, like you just don't know, then the first place to start might be what I did, for you to ask a different question and then take the next inspired action. So I want to, I just shared with you a lot, and I want to kind of tie a bow around the whole thing and just share with you, like, what were the bullet points of my process? Because there was a process that was going on in the story I just shared with you. So if I were to list out the bullet points, first of all, how I was able to connect with my purpose is that, I was curious about it. I thought a lot about it. I wrestled with it. I felt uncomfortable with that question, especially feeling uncomfortable not knowing my answer. So I had this strong desire to figure it out. Even though over time, I started to form, not an unhealthy relationship towards the sense of purpose. But the desire was still there to connect with the purpose. It has to be there, right? You have to have that desire to want that. And so, since I didn't know the answer to the big question of what is my purpose, the next thing I did is I asked myself questions that I could answer. What would I do if I wasn't afraid? What do I love doing and why? What am I actually passionate about? And then the next thing I did is I answered those questions from my heart, not my mind, because my mind might not answer it fully. My mind might just skim over details. So I answered it from my heart. What would you do, man, if you weren't afraid? What would you actually do? And I had the guts to really answer it. And then the next thing I did is I let that answer sink in. I allowed myself to feel it. Holy shit, if I wasn't afraid, I would start my own company. Oh my gosh, what would that feel like? Oh, wow. Like I sat with that feeling. And then I took action on my answers. Sometimes very small. Sometimes just one little action, just one little step. Sometimes they were big actions, big scary actions, but I took action on it. I didn't just sit now with that feeling, sit with my answer. I moved with it. And the last thing I have done and continue to do, I just continue to be curious, continue to wrestle with the questions, and I continue to enjoy the process. Because it's the process, it's the journey, it's the walk. That's what we're here for. Not necessarily to get to that end destination. It's cool, but I look at them now as more of like milestones or mile marker signs. If you ever run a race, you know that along the way you get these mile signs like, boop, oh, there I am. Cool. Oh, nice accomplishment. Boop, oh, there I am again. That's kind of how I feel now about, what is my purpose? I have an answer now. Cool. I'm going to keep on rolling. And boop, hey, my answer kind of changed a little bit. Or what is my mission statement? Boop, there's an answer right there. Awesome. Let me roll with that for a little while. And then boop, oh, here's a new answer. Okay, cool. This is what I'm feeling now. So that was my process, to be curious about it, to ask myself questions I could actually answer, to answer those questions from the heart, to take actions from my answers, and to continue the process and enjoy it all. I love telling that story. I really do. It's one of those things that'll end up being a full, if not multiple chapters in my book. I'm gonna write a book one day, by the way. I'm putting that out there. I'm coming out with a book. Don't know when, don't know what it's gonna be on, but I'm writing something. And that's gonna be in there because that story was a moment in my life where everything changed. Absolutely, everything changed. And it came down to me having the guts to ask a question and to answer it. So if you're feeling disconnected from your purpose, if you have no idea what the hell your purpose is, if you just don't even like thinking about it anymore, if you felt like you've missed the boat, if you're judging others or judging yourself because you don't have it, if you're jealous of other people, if any of that stuff is coming up, I hear you. And I totally understand. And I have experienced that. And every once in a while, I might still experience some of those things, quite frankly. But I'm telling you right now, you do have a purpose. There is a purpose for you being here. There is a purpose for you existing. And it is fucking amazing. And you can connect with it. You can arrive at it. There is an answer to the question, what is your purpose? If there is a question, then there has to be an answer. So there is an answer. You might just want to start asking slightly different questions, right? Because maybe the answer to the question, what is your purpose? Maybe that takes wrestling with it. Maybe that takes time for you to get to the thing that really moves your heart. Okay, so why not ask yourself a different question? That's something that's easier to answer and keep taking those little baby steps forward. I know what it's like to be on one side of not knowing my purpose and not feeling like I had one, to being on the other side of it. And it is such a sweet experience being on the other side of it. But again, that process of just being curious about it and being willing to go down the road of, let me figure this out. That is an amazing experience. That is a sweet experience as well. And so I want to help you. I really do, because I believe when more people are operating from their purpose, the world benefits. Humankind benefits. The earth benefits. Everything rises up as we are living our purpose. And so as I mentioned at the top of the episode, I'm doing this webinar. I totally encourage you, come and hang out with me for an hour. It's free. I'm going to share with you more questions like what I shared with you in this episode. I'm going to share with you more questions like that you can ask yourself to arrive at your purpose. I'm also going to talk to you about how to answer those questions in a way that can create those breakthrough moments for yourself, that can create aha moments for yourself. And then I'm going to talk to you about what to actually do with those answers. All that stuff is happening in the free webinar. Go to MatthewBivens.com/purpose. Join me. It's going to be freaking cool. And we'll work on this stuff together. MatthewBivens.com/purpose. This podcast has been it's like a documentation of my process towards arriving at purpose. I don't know if you know that. And this show is very different from other podcasts that are out there. Like, a lot of other podcasts begin with the end in mind, and there's a very specific agenda for it. And so they operate within the parameters of what the agenda is. I didn't do that here because what you're hearing, all these episodes over the past 3.5 years, is part of my journey to arrive at purpose. Like, you're seeing this play out in real time. If you were to go back and listen from episode 1 to now, you would just see the evolution. It's right there. And so I know what it's like to go through that process and that journey. I've been there. I've done it. So I'm just very lit up and excited to help any soul who is inspired to go on that journey for themselves. It's so awesome. Yeah. If you want to reach out to me, if you want to just connect and share with me where you're at in your process of uncovering your purpose, connecting with it, living it, I would love to hear your story. I would love to hear where you're at. You can connect with me on Instagram at Matthew_Bivens, or you can email me, mattcbivens@gmail.com. Share with me. I can totally, I would love to be inspired by what you've got going on. And if you have questions or anything else, you want some help along the way, you can ask me those as well. There will be a Q&A in the webinar too, and you can ask me your questions there, and we can move this thing forward together. So reach out or join me on the webinar. Again, MatthewBivens.com/purpose. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for all of us. All right, that's it. That's today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. My name is Matthew Bivens. Once again, here's to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal, physical, or mental health.